Welcome back to the Reverse the Effects of Aging Summit. I am your host, Deepak Saini. I believe that a big part of healthy aging and reversing the effects of aging is understanding how to keep our mitochondria healthy. I'd like to introduce you to my guest today, Roxanne Hardenberg. Did I got that right?
You definitely did. Thank you,
Awesome.
Deepak.
Roxanne is a women's health transformation strategist, botanical biohacker, DNA analyst, and an expert in holistic health education. She's a certified herbalist and ketogenic diet and health coach, specializing in cyclical intermittent fasting. She founded her nutraceutical company, Essential Pharmaceuticals. That's with that F, Pharmaceuticals, in 2021. Roxanne has been taking complex health strategies and disease research and making it easy to understand for the everyday woman. She's been able to heal her own body from decades of disease and is helping women all around the world achieve similar superhuman healing results using her science-backed, proven formulas alongside natural protocols and herbal remedies. She's on a mission to heal the world one woman at a time. Roxanne, thank you for joining us in Reverse the Effects of Aging Summit.
Thank you, Deepak, for that wonderful introduction. Wow, I'd never really understood how powerful it was when you put it into one paragraph. Thank you.
No, you're more than welcome. So I'd like to start off with, maybe tell us a little bit about your background, maybe about how you healed yourself, and ultimately what led you to do what you're doing today.
Absolutely. So what led me to what I'm doing today, it was a fight for my own healing. I'd immigrated to the UK from South Africa months before lockdown hit, so we didn't obviously know that was going to happen. And being somebody who's now 43 but was diagnosed at the age of 23 with stage 4 endometriosis, ovarian cysts, I had IBS since a young child. So all these issues started stacking, and while I was definitely keeping them at bay, I found that the moment lockdown hit and all that stress mounted, I, as an immigrant who was still trying to get my visas into place, it definitely threw a spanner in the works, and I ended up suffering badly. So I went into fight or flight mode, and I had for the first time no backup plan. I was stuck between two countries, couldn't go home, my borders were locked, couldn't work in the UK, didn't have my visa yet, and having all those health issues with, unfortunately, the surgeons who were amazing, but because of lockdown pandemic, regulations, I was sent home without surgery, refused a bunch of treatment that I would normally get. I ended up sitting here going, well, I've got to get my own solution into place. And so I'm naturally a solution provider. My background, 20 years in corporate IT, data analytics, network strategizing, running my own businesses, other people's businesses. I'm all about a solution. And I sat there and I had time and the internet in my hands. And I went, well, I need to find a way out. And so that's exactly what I did. And so that led me to actually learning which steps to take to reduce my inflammation so I could reduce my pain, because it was diabolical. And by that stage, the painkillers had stopped working. It happens when you've been on them for 2 decades like I was.
Sure.
And so it was really actually quite serious. And that was July 2020 when I first started. And then 7 months fast forward, I was in full remission. By March 2021, I did a video on Facebook because I couldn't believe it. As a woman with stage 4 endometriosis, I had my first pain-free period. Like, it was unbelievable. We were always told that it would only get worse. You would need surgery after surgery or a hysterectomy. There's all these treatment options, and I didn't have those as a luxury at the time. And so I managed to heal my body, as you said when you introduced me, using food, plant-based medicines, and whatever I had in the budget to spend, which was nothing at the time. So I learned how to do a lot of natural healing protocols, like, intermittent fasting, cryotherapy, different types of hormesis, as they call it, which is fasting is one of them. And I was like, what can I do for free? Well, put it all together, started researching, looked at the case studies, and then within 7 months reached really amazing results. And then I was like, okay, well, if this works for me, who else can I help? Now I'm someone who can't sit still. So I'm locked. I'm stuck in a country. I can't work, can't do anything.
I get that impression from you.
Can't go back home. So if I can help other women, that's why I shared it. And then it went viral around the world. I did my first 21-day challenge in March 2021. Bunch of women, all different ages and health conditions, not just what I had. And we all got amazing results. And I was like, I'm onto something. And so that's when the studying, actually, I dived into the books, looked to see who the leaders were in different fields of functional medicine, and just practiced and recorded my own results. And then fast forward, post the pandemic, obviously lockdown got lifted, and I started dipping into looking at my own data. I'm a data analyst. I love my own data. I'm a bit of a data diva that way. because you can aim with accuracy, Deepak. You're not now guessing. So I looked at my own DNA, looked at where I was falling short, because every year I would go 10 steps forward, 12 steps back. I'm like, what am I missing? What am I missing? And then I looked at my DNA, started testing different biomarkers, and then I really did lock in my healing. I was able to bounce back a lot quicker, which is the premise of my blueprint, the Bounce Back Body Blueprint. And it's all around being able to live in a world where you maybe have a lot of health conditions that, hey, you might have for the rest of your life, but you can at least live symptom-free, which means that you can live life to your fullest. And when you do have a setback, you can bounce back quicker. And so that's kind of what I do. That is exactly what I do, actually. But that's kind of the premise of my program. The success behind it is that it helps anybody and everybody in terms of women, doesn't matter your age or stage in life, at different cycles. And that's where the cyclical element comes in. Because one of my relapses, I realized I was doing keto, for example, doing it so well, doing fasting so well. I'm a bit of a, if I know how to do something, I'm going to go all in. And then I was like, I'm doing so well, I'm getting such great results, but I'm still relapsing. And then I learned that you can't do it the same way like a man can. And that's where amazing people like Dr. Mindy Pelz, Dr. Joshua Axe, Dr. Mark Hyman, all these people came to came in front of me, and I was like, this is where all the leaders are. Let me try this. Yes. And then I locked it in. It was amazing.
So Roxanne, I'd love for you to dive into that a little bit more. And we've had, Ben Azadi is one of our speakers as well.
He's amazing.
Definitely check out his speech as well, or his interview. But yeah, maybe let's hone in on that, the cyclical ketosis and how fasting needs to be different for women than it is for men.
Absolutely. So what I learned that because as women, especially when you're menstruating, so you're in your 40s, maybe still 50s, you have a different set of hormones demanding different things throughout a 30-day cycle or 28-day, depending on what you have. But generally, on a month-to-month basis, we have a 30-day cycle where a man has a 24-hour cycle in terms of how our hormones regulate. And so even though I was doing certain things like ketosis, keeping your carbs under 20 grams net carbs a day, when I was doing it around certain weeks leading up to ovulation or leading up to menstruation, I wasn't getting the same results. And I realized, well, hang on, that's because I actually need to be dipping into certain foods that are going to create, they're going to stimulate the production of certain hormones like progesterone, which you need to menstruate healthy. So I wasn't really getting monthly periods. They weren't very consistent. They were very erratic. Some were painful, some weren't. And I was like, I'm still getting pain. And Deepak, this is how at the time, 2020, health was not my speciality, IT was. And I went, well, hang on. If pain stems from inflammation, and chronic inflammation is where disease is, so you work it back. In order to get rid of your pain, which was my first go-to, you got to reduce your inflammation. And to do that, what are all the things that create inflammation? What triggers it? And then you got to keep your hormones in check as a woman. So there's different elements. You do keto really well, but now you got to apply the cyclical thing so that you're going in and out of ketosis. And that's where Dr. Mindy Pelz blew my mind away. And Ben as well. I mean, I've watched all of these amazing podcasts, and I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. Let me try that. And so that's kind of what I did along the way. And then it birthed the blueprints. And up until today, we've still been using it. A bunch of women are getting amazing results. What I do is, as you're aging between 30 to 40 to 50, you have different demands on your hormones.
Sure.
And so as long as I tap into the leaders and I keep doing it myself, I can at least share what I know works.
Yeah, Roxanne, I love, and we share that. I'm not an IT person. I came from corporate, but from the financial world. So that analysis, and like we're both kind of data geeks, and in that sense, so we share.
We are, yes.
Yeah. So I'd like to go something that you call mitochondrial uncoupling and sort of the connection with the gut hormones. If you could just explain that for the audience. What do you mean by mitochondrial uncoupling?
So this was fantastic. This was fascinating. Evolving from 2020 to 2021, learning about cyclical ketosis and intermittent fasting and how to do it as a woman. Then 2022 came, and I heard from the amazing Dr. Stephen Gundry. I was watching one of his podcasts, and he mentioned mitochondrial uncoupling oils. I was like, what's mitochondria? Hold on, I haven't heard of that. And I'm like, that's the first thing I do. And he mentioned, what really caught my eye at the time was he mentioned certain essential oils. Now, I, at the time, 2020, thought essential oils was nice to have, nice to put in your bath, make things smell nice. Never did I really ever understand the magnitude of human healing when you are using the purest forms internally for medical purposes. And he mentioned certain oils like frankincense, myrrh, and peppermint. I was like, And I remember going to my laptop because I was listening to it while I was doing a house task of some sort. And I quickly made some notes and I was like, it's fascinating because I needed to understand when I got my results, how did I get my results? What did I do? So I need to reverse engineer it. And then I need to make a blueprint so that I know how to teach it on. And I went, well, actually, I was using all of those oils every day. So that makes sense. What is mitochondrial uncoupling? So without losing the audience and without sounding like Dr. Stephen Gundry, because I could never word it any better, it really comes down to your gut. And the mitochondria are these little organelles. They are like the energy producing factors in your cells. And when I was chronically sick, I was bedbound for 6 months. I had no energy. My husband had to help me shower. It was really bad. And I realized that I had no energy. So I looked at the link between mitochondria and energy. But what really blew my mind is something else that I also had 31 years ago. I was in a motorbike accident when I was in my 20s, and 11 years ago, I had a spinal discectomy, emergency spinal operation, which left me paralyzed from the waist down. They said I'd never walk again. I'm 100% mobile. But it severed my spinal cord when the disc came out and they had to remove it. And then beginning of last year, I got an MRI of my spine. I had a lot of pain. I wasn't sure where it was coming from. And they said, I'm sorry, it's got nothing to do with your spine. In fact, your spinal cord is completely healed. Now, no, what? Doctor said I'd be in for more operations. Let me have a look. And I was like, hold on, what's going on here? And at the time, I'd heard that spinal cord healing can be linked to healing the mitochondria. Now, at the time, I already knew I'd heal my mitochondria because I'd obviously looked at all the oils and coconut oil, avocado oil, and I think olive oil, coconut oil. Those are also mitochondrial uncoupling oils, of which I was doing in keto. So then I took the data home and I showed my husband. I said, I now know why I'm feeling so great, why I've got all these amazing results. And I put it all together. And so for me, what I now teach my clients is gut first. Everything starts in the gut. The mitochondrial uncoupling and the healing starts in the gut. Your hormones as a woman is metabolized in the gut. Your inflammation, if your gut is healed, and you know this because this is part of your transformation story, right. Heal your gut first and everything comes together. And so that was the mitochondrial uncoupling was like an advanced finding, should I say, along the way. I'm always finding like GlycanAge, Dave Asprey. One day he emailed me, and he emailed, not me, I wish, he emailed all of us on the newsletter list and said, right. Have you ever had your glycans tested? And I was like, oh, what's that mean? And that was last year. That was my discovery of inflammaging.
Yeah.
So there's all these amazing elements that I've learned along the way. And
very cool. So let's pull on that essential oils thread for a little bit. And, kind of mentioned in your bio, so the biological biohacking using essential oil. So what does that look like? And maybe explain that a little bit more for the audience.
So even though I spent 20 years in IT and corporate and that world, that industry, I was always somebody who knew that herbal medicine worked, because at the age of 28, I came off all pharmaceuticals. I had to, nothing worked. And I went on to something that was more natural, herbal, right? And so every month I would have my herbal medicines. And while it would be a Band-Aid, it would keep the symptoms kind of manageable, it would never get to the root cause. So I was kind of going, okay, I can manage things. I guess this is my life forever. And then in July 2020, I'd actually invested in a business opportunity, and it was linked to the essential oils. And long story cut short, really, because that's a whole different story. I, at the time, needed desperately to reduce my pain, desperately, because nothing was working. And I lay in my bed crying like I've never cried before. And I had this pack of essential oils next to me that was part of my business kit, because it was a good opportunity. And a friend said, well, look, how about this for internal use? And I was like, never done that before. And then when I had the peppermint, that kept the nausea down. And day by day, the usage of essential oils made me feel so much better, but so much quicker. And I was like, I've never had this before. What's going on? And then I would dive into the studies. And I was like, why is this? And so the long and the short would be, if you had to have something that's a lot more concentrated. So for example, peppermint, right? 1 drop of peppermint essential oil is equivalent to the same peppermint benefit of 28 cups of peppermint tea. Now, having 28 cups in a day is very excessive. But when you have a health issue and you can't keep fluid down and you're nauseous and you have a headache that's going to kill you, 1 drop of peppermint is needed, and it really does relieve you. It brings those symptoms down, but then it also gets to the root cause. So the essential oils for me was groundbreaking, because for 20 years, I'd done whatever I could, whatever I learned, whatever I knew at the time to get better results, but nothing ever got me 100% symptom relief, completely fully feeling like I'm completely in full remission, like I can do this. I can be out of the bed. I can work every day of the month, not spend a week in bed, because with endometriosis, that's what you do. A week to 2 weeks, you're in bed. I could actually live my life. And so essential oils was the game changer for me. And then since then, I've been studying it ever since. I got my results and then obviously started studying to see, well, is it just me? Was it just pure luck? Before I can help other women, I need to know what I'm doing here. I mean, I know it works. And then the studies and the science behind it, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, and honestly, that's
chemistry
an area
behind
I
it.
need to brush up a little bit on myself. I do use peppermint essential oil with my oil pulling in the morning.
Oh, absolutely, yes, amazing.
And I have a friend who's not a part of the summit, but he works with people on hyperbaric oxygen, and we have Dr. Jason Saunders is one of our keynotes talking about that as well. Cool. But my friend who lives local, he uses essential oils with hyperbaric in his treatment of his clients. So very, very cool. So again, an area I need to focus on a bit more. What are some of your maybe if let's look a couple like takeaways for the audience? What are like 1, 2, maybe 3 essential oils that would be really like their best use case for a certain condition or something? Like again, you mentioned it, peppermint for headaches and that sort of thing. I use it in my oil pulling for more of a holistic and sort of bacterial killing in the mouth and that sort of thing. What are a couple other different ones that people might want to look into?
So some flagships of mine for my own personal recovery and relief, and ones that I use in my actual program with my clients, is when you take frankincense is one of them. When you take frankincense and you actually use it with another essential or with another botanical, with another essential oil type like lavender or peppermint or myrrh or copaiba, it actually increases the potency of that oil. So frankincense is not just a great oil on its own. The amazing benefits of aromatherapy, and this is why I consider it, I'm a biohacker that way. I kind of biohack to fast track my healing results using these amazing botanicals. So for me, I would recommend for anybody who is suffering with any kind of pain to understand the endocannabinoid system and using oils that are actually direct binders to the endocannabinoid system, which is beta-caryophyllene, and that comes from copaiba. You see, people know CBD, good old cannabidiol oil, which I used for decades, CBD oil. And while it definitely was great, it wasn't that game changer. And then I learned why, because it's an indirect binder. Copaiba, or copaiba, some people call it, is the botanical that actually, that's the essential oil that is a direct binder. And so when you learn how to directly bind to pain receptors, to certain things in the body, I mean, I'm not an anatomy expert. I'm just a symptomatic sign language expert, that I call myself, because I learned how to link symptoms to signs of what is a symptom and what does it mean and how can I fix it. And then when I reduced my pain, I looked and I went, well, I was using frankincense, copaiba, peppermint, definitely, lemongrass. When you take lemongrass, peppermint, copaiba, and frankincense, and you apply that topically with a carrier oil. Now, carrier oil can be fractionated coconut oil. Personally, I prefer sweet almond oil, organic always, because sweet almond oil has a anti-inflammatory. So anything anti-inflammatory is what we go for first, because we want to maximize. We don't just want to take oil because it's great. We want to take something that's actually going to really boost that inflammation or the anti-inflammation. And then internally, definitely frankincense, without a doubt, copaiba. I use lemon and peppermint religiously every day. Lemon is great for a detoxing. The lemon essential oil is different to lemon juice because lemon comes from the rind, which is alkaline. The juice is acidic. And while we need both, some people have too much acidity. And so these simple little hacks and tips cleans out your gut, because that you want to detox first as well. But it also helps you with pain reduction, because when you apply it topically over the area, skin is the biggest organ in the body, and it immediately absorbs that oil, and you can actually notice a release quite quickly. Everyone's different, so I'm not a medical expert, I'm not a doctor. I just want to put that disclaimer out there, but I do know that your body's your best doctor, so try it out. If it's the first time that you're doing this, please make sure that you dilute it enough and do a test area on your skin and then see the reaction.
Thank you for mentioning that. Super important, because
absolutely safety first, always.
Pure essential oils can be caustic, so yeah.
Yes, sure safety first, definitely. And so that's my tip. And what else? Internally as well in a veggie capsule, Deepak. So if you just drink essential oils with water, some people are against that, but hey, this is how I got my results. I'm only telling you what works, and all my clients did too, so I'm sure it's good. But if you have an upset stomach or IBS, and I would always advise to put it into an empty vegetable capsule, not the other type of capsule, because veggie capsules are safer to take, and then at least you can put it with an olive oil. Olive oil is a mitochondrial uncoupling oil, and so that's like a 1-2 punch. Put it in a capsule, drink one of those a day, and then that also just protects the acids from, the capsule protects the oils from being destroyed by the stomach acid, and then that does deep internal healing. Fix your gut first, and everything else will be easy to fix.
Absolutely. So let me ask this question, a little bit of a selfish question here related to our own family. So I got preteens at home, girls. And we have used essential oils for acne and that sort of thing. What would be your go-to, or what would be an acne protocol, let's say, for using essential oils?
Well, anything on this. Okay, so acne actually, and for teenagers, your hormones are changing. Obviously, you're coming into adulthood. There's a lot of
there's the hormone component, of course. Yes,
absolutely. But you definitely want to avoid sugar. That's a foregone conclusion. And then acne is not a skin thing necessarily. It's more of a deep-rooted issue. And so fix your gut, and the acne will definitely come right, because the skin is a representation. I always say, guys, your skin has no ending. The skin on the outside of the body, if you think about it, right, it goes into the mouth, goes down the throat, into the stomach, and out the other end and back out. You're actually like this continuous loop. And what your skin looks like on the outside is a direct indicator of what's going on the inside. And so fix your gut, and anything on your skin will come right. But in terms of just soothing for scars, things like that, castor oil. When you add castor oil onto your skin, as a woman, when you are having please note, you cannot use castor oil as a woman when you're having a menstrual cycle, because if you apply it topically, it's going to be an activating oil, so it'll bring that on even more. But every other time around the cycle as a woman, you can actually put it onto the skin where there's pain as well. It's great. But also if you have acne on your face, just apply that lavender essential oil with frankincense as well together. Very, very diluted though on the skin. Also does help skin issues. Yeah.
Okay. So as we come to a close here in this interview, so let's put essential oils aside. Let's put ketosis and fasting aside, right? What other practices do you personally do to reverse the effects of aging?
Wow. Okay. So obviously we've spoken about sugar. That has to be the first one. Alcohol is another big one, because the moment you have any kind of alcohol, doesn't even matter if it's clean, if it's triple distilled, if you name it, if it's the best in the world, if you just have a little bit, it's going to kick you out of keto, which you don't want to be out of because you're healing, but also it ages you. And so for me, as somebody who speaks about what to do to reverse age, and I have reversed my chronological age from 43 to a biological age of 20, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah, very good. Excellent.
Thank you. I tested that in November 2022 after Dave Asprey mentioned, have you tested your glycans? And that's all around inflammation. And so I know for sure, if you want to reduce your inflammation, you definitely need to avoid sugar at all costs. Eat clean, grass-fed, organic, pasture-raised if you can. And if you can't, because if you're in a country that you can't, then you need to dip into your detoxing. Essential oils are great fast-track hacks for that. So you need to kind of use them both to complement synergistically. And then what else? Sleep. So if you don't understand the quality of your sleep, and I'm not talking about 8 hours passing out because you're tired. If you measure your sleep, and I use my Oura Ring to measure my sleep, my deep sleep, only when you really get that proper quality sleep every night are you detoxing, and is your body actually regenerating and restoring. And so all those elements help your body heal faster. And if you heal faster, you don't age as quickly. It's called inflammaging. I'm sure you know that terminology. Too much inflammation makes you age. It's
pretty out there. I think people are getting to know that term. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. If you age too fast, it's inflammaging. Inflammation nowadays is considered as a disease in its own. So to reduce your inflammation, you want to reduce all the triggers that create inflammation. That's why DNA tests for your microbiome, your food sensitivities, your environmental sensitivities are key. That's where I first started. Reduce anything that creates inflammation in the body, and then look at things that can counter inflammation, because you want to reverse inflammation. And then that would be broccoli sprouts, serapeptase, not serapeptase, sulforaphane. Those types of things are amazing.
Okay. So Roxanne, you also have a gift for all the participants today, your daily routine guide. Can you just briefly
Yes,
explain what that is?
my daily routine guide. And I'm sorry to say, I need to just very quickly plug in I don't know why my battery was not plugged in. Sorry about that. So my daily routine guide, this is how we wing it on the fly, guys. Right. My daily routine guide consists of a step-by-step process. It's a one-pager that you can print out, smack on your fridge or in the inside of your coffee cupboard in your kitchen, because you open that every day. It's the first thing that you open. And you have a look in the daily routine guide and it'll tell you, right, when you wake up, what's the first thing that you should do? Replenish your electrolytes, especially things like magnesium, sodium, those types of things. If your levels are low, you could be drinking water and your cells are not actually getting hydrated. So hydration first, because you've just woken up, your levels are going to be low. And then you want to look at bone broth. That's amazing. Bone broth is a whole nother discussion that we'll have to talk about another time. But yes, bone broth. How you break your fast is also equally important. So if you're doing intermittent fasting and you're pushing it to, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, and then you dive into the wrong plate of food, you're going to be feeding your body in a way that's not going to optimize the healing, the energy that you need. So how you break your fast is equally important as when you break your fast. And then my daily routine guide will tell you which essential oil protocols to dip into when, because it's not about what you do as well as it is about when you do it.
Right.
So like people take a whole lot of supplements at the wrong time of the day and don't understand why things aren't working. And then I also give a 10-day detox, which is a different protocol, because if you are taking certain things like oregano essential oil is Mother's Nature, it's natural antibiotic that kills the bad bacteria. But now if you're taking probiotic at the same time, you're going to be having a very expensive urine. So my protocols and my daily routine guide tells you what you can do when. And then there's the cyclical factor. Are you in ovulation, manifestation time? Are you in menstrual time? Should you be in keto this week? When you should break your fast and when you shouldn't. And then at the end of the night, always wind down. Digital's off by 8, in bed by 9, and really get some good, proper quality sleep. So it kind of just goes, what do you do when you wake up? What do you do when you
All
get
the way
to
to the
bed?
end of the day.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And my clients have said that if it wasn't for that, they would have lost their sanity along the way, because there's too much in life. Now we need someone just to show us what to do. We just want to look at something. Okay, cool. Got it. Tick. And then I also deliver it on a mobile app as well.
Awesome. So again, all of the links to, connect with Roxanne on the socials and download this guide, everything will be right underneath this interview. And remember, if you want to, hear this amazing interview again, and with, Ben Azadi, we mentioned earlier, and all the other amazing speakers, don't forget to upgrade to the VIP package, just $97 during the event, and then it will be going up afterwards. And also, don't forget to check out our wonderful sponsors who's made this a free event for all of you to attend. Companies like STEM Regen and HBOT USA. Roxanne, I want to thank you again for joining us for Reverse the Effects of Aging Summit. It was amazing having this conversation with you today.
Deepak, thank you very much. It was an honor to be part of this amazing event, and I look forward to chatting with you further.
Absolutely. I'll get you on the podcast in the future here.
Awesome. So, looking forward to it.
As do I. All right, everyone. I will see you on to the next interview.